MotoeXotica.com.
All right, so we are taking a little drive in our 1957 Studebaker Golden Hawk. We have a lot of these cars over the years. We absolutely love Studebakers. The Hawk in general is a very special body. It was a design that was ahead of its time. It was actually timeless. It's still timeless today. There's nothing out there at the time that looked like a Studebaker Hawk body in the 50s. It was really set itself on its own. A lot of good designs coming out of America in the 50s, no doubt about it. Golden age of design, really. The Studebaker Hawk series, a very special line of cars. Nothing looked like them whatsoever in the 50s, and it was pretty hard to stand on your own at that time. The Hawk body came out basically in the early 50s, ran all the way up to really the mid 60s, but the special right in the middle of all that was the Golden Hawk. The President, the Golden Hawk, all that good stuff. So there's the C bodies and the K bodies. The C bodies were a two-door post coupe, or two-door sedan, you might want to call it. But what everyone really loves, especially the market, are the K bodies. And those are just like you see in this car here. You have no post. You have the back window and the front window are seamless. It's a true hardtop. And Studebaker went really far making these cars even extra special. The Golden Hawk basically came out in 1956. The first year it had the Packard V8, the big Packard V8. The problem with the big Packard V8 was it was a little nose heavy. So a lot of the reviews in the magazines at the time really kind of dogged and made fun of the nose heavy Studebaker in performance. So after 1 year, Studebaker decided to make a pretty big, bold move, I would say. They put the sweepstakes 289 V8 in this car, and on top of that 289, they decided to put a Macola supercharger. It was pretty neat, especially for 1957. It puts out about 275 horse, which in 57 is a pretty good performance measure. It really is. And to fit that motor, to fit that supercharger, if you look on the hood, you'll see a fiberglass hood scoop, I guess you could say, a louvered hood scoop. And that was to fit the extra clearance for the supercharger that's on top. So you can always identify one of these if you actually ever do see one on the road. You always can tell it's a 57 or 58 by that louvered hood that's on these things. Definitely makes a statement going down the road. Of course, it's called the Golden Hawk, and this one is painted in its best color, which is obviously gold. But they actually came in a lot of different colors. Actually, we got a white one with blue coves right now. We've had white and red. They come in, I think it's around 18 color combos that you could get in the Golden Hawk. But since it's called the Golden Hawk, everyone likes to see the gold in the Golden Hawk, especially myself. I'm not a big gold car guy, but this car in gold is absolutely a statement piece. There's nothing really like it on the road. When you roll down the road, as you can see us rolling now, we get all kinds of attention. But anyways, these cars are beautiful. And in 57, they didn't make too many of them. They made a little shy under 4,000 units, which is pretty low production for the time. And then in 1958, the next year, they only made a little less than 800 before they killed production. So the 58s are really rare production-wise. But the only difference between the 57 and the 58 is your first thing you want to see is the wheels. The 58 had a 14-inch wheel usually, and the 57 had a 15-inch wheel. And they put that 14-inch wheel because they thought the car had it was too high. So they put the 14-inch wheel in 58 to basically make it look like it appeared lower. But basically, the turn signals are slightly different. There's a couple little trim differences between the 57 and 58, but not too much. One of my favorite parts to talk about the Golden Hawk is you have a lot of different cars out there that people say that started the muscle car era of the 60s. You know, what was the first real muscle car? Some say the Grand Prix to the GTO, all kinds of other ones. I kind of believe that this is one of the true first muscle cars. And one reason why I say that is because, first of all, it's a two-door hardtop coupe. It's got a supercharged V8 in it. For the time, these things actually, especially the 57s and 58s, they handled really well for what they were. A lot of the reviews really raved about how well the car handled the back roads and hugged pretty good compared to the other larger Detroit and American-made cars that were much heavier and had a lot of body roll. But these things really held the road pretty well. And another really cool part was you could get an optional limited slip differential on these. And Studebaker called them the TT, twin traction basically. So you can get one of these pretty loaded up. Go to the Studebaker dealer, get yourself a 2-door hardtop coupe with a supercharged V8, great styling, a limited slip rear end, automatic transmission, but they were really very good at performing for the time. And the supercharger, if you got these things tuned really well, they roll pretty well. They perform great, and they look excellent. So a fascinating part of this 1957 Golden Hawk, it has great history that comes along with it. These cars are really special. There's not many of them out there, and a lot of them are lost, and the ones that are still around, sometimes it's kind of hard to know where they've been. So anytime we get a Golden Hawk that's got tons of history, it's a very big plus. The Studebaker guys, if you are one or you know one, they love the history, including myself. So anytime we get a Studebaker Golden Hawk, with all its history, we love to share it. This particular car was sold obviously brand new, 1957. It was sold to a lady out of Los Angeles, actually to be exact, Arcadia, California. And her name was Marie Ross. And she went into Bob Wondry's Motors in Los Angeles in 1957. And what's really neat, how I know all this, is I still have the actual registration application from the actual dealer. As you can see, 1957 at the top. This one's filled out pretty cool. It's got everything on it really. Not only is it got the type of car it is, obviously a Golden Hawk, but it's got the engine number. It's got all kinds of little tidbits going through it. And today this car still matches a lot of this. But the best part is we get to see who owned it and what dealer sold it. And what's fascinating is after she bought this car, she stayed in Los Angeles basically. She had the car for a long time, and she saved every single year of California registration. So if you're familiar with California, or have ever had a car without a California history, you know that these registrations, you get one of these little box registrations each year. And she kept every single year. I actually got from 57 all the way, I believe, to like 93. Now, she didn't have the car to 93. She sold it to another gentleman, also in California, I think in the late 70s. I also have to guess by where that guy was from and his address, they might have been friends or family, because he kept the tradition too, and he kept every single year of registrations too. And then that gentleman sold the car, I think in the late 80s, to another gentleman, and he kept all the California registrations. So I know for a fact that this car was in the LA area basically from 1957 to the early 90s. And then a little bit later, it made its way to Arizona, which is another great state for a car like this to be preserved in. But also in all those decades, I have tons of records. I have tons of service records. This car was always taken care of. A lot of money was thrown keeping this car the way it looks, running well. And I just got stacks and stacks of receipts pretty much in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So you really can look at this car and know it's been pretty preserved. Other than maybe a repaint once or twice, this car is pretty original. I do know that also the interior bits have been maybe updated correctly. But all in all, you look underneath this car, you can totally tell that it's always been in California. It's always been dry. It's never been in a bad state where someone had pulled it out of the weeds or out of a garage or out of a barn and had to do a full restoration. This car never needed a full restoration. This car was always taken care of, and these are the ones you want. And they didn't make many Golden Hawks, period. There's not many left. So I think on the open market, there's not too many examples that's a lot like this one here. So I invite you to check out our ad, take a really good at the photos, read the description, see all the photos of the paperwork I have. I'm just showing you very small amounts right now, but I have stacks and stacks, and any Studebaker enthusiast will enjoy. Now, a word from our sponsor, International Studebakers. No. Studebaker International. Get all your parts from Studebaker International.
Here it comes, Studebaker 57. This year, craftsmanship makes the big difference in the low-price field.
Big new Studebaker. Craftsmanship with a flair. The standout car in the low-price field, the only car in the low-price field that's really, really new.
MotoeXotica.com.
Boy, I know. Studebaker's great. The standout car in the low-price field.
Big new Studebaker. See your dealer today.
MotoeXotica.com.
Thanks for watching. Now visit us on all of our social media platforms. You know what they are. Where all that crap and like and share and comment. Do it. You know you will. Thanks for watching again. Get out and drive.